The Caged Omega. A Werewolf Shifter Romance Audiobook. Written by Reinhardt. Chapter 1, The Dream That Bites. The night was a shroud over Moonshadow Sanctuary, its stone walls cold under a sickle moon. Solene, a nurse in the shelter's dim infirmary, lay in her cot, her auburn hair tangled, her breath uneven. Sleep was a battlefield, and tonight, it drew blood. In her dream, a black wolf loomed, its silver eyes piercing, its jaws snapping at her throat. Pain seared, her scream choking as teeth sank deep. But the wolf shifted, from melting into a man's form, tall, scarred, his face hidden in shadow. He kissed her, lips desperate, blood mingling with tears. "I can't love you," he whispered, voice a broken blade. Her shoulder burned, a bite mark pulsing. She woke, gasping, her hand clutching the scar on her shoulder, pain real, raw, as if the dream had clawed her heart. Her cot creaked, the sanctuary's silence heavy. The bite mark, hidden under her sleeve, throbbed like a second pulse. It wasn't new, she'd carried it for years, a mystery from a past she couldn't grasp. The dream was a ghost, stirring something wild in her blood. Her fingers trembled, nails sharpening for a heartbeat before softening. Her breath hitched, fear coiling. Was she one of them, a moonburned, a cursed wolf the moon guard hunted? She pressed the scar, grounding herself. She was Solene, just a nurse, nothing more. But her heart ached, the man's voice, "I can't love you," a wound she didn't understand. The infirmary smelled of antiseptic and despair, its beds filled with lowborns, humans, omegas, the forgotten. Solene moved through her shift, her hands steady as she bandaged a child's arm, her smile masking the storm within. But her fingers betrayed her, nails lengthening into claws for a fleeting moment as she adjusted a bandage. The child gasped, eyes wide. "Just a trick of the light," Solene said, forcing a laugh, her heart pounding. She hid her hand, nails normal again, but the wolf inside her stirred, a growl she couldn't silence. If the moon guard saw, they'd take her, cage her, kill her. She glanced at the window, the Iron Fang range looming beyond, its peaks a reminder of the clan's power. The moon guard patrolled, their black armor a threat to anyone marked by the moon. Solene's scar pulsed, the dream's kiss lingering, its pain a tether to something lost. She'd heard whispers, moonburned, wolves cursed by experiments, hunted by the clan. Was she one of them? Her past was a fog, memories sealed, but the scar, the claws, the dream, they were clues to a truth she feared. She bandaged another wound, her hands shaking. She'd hide, survive, but the wolf within was waking, and it wanted out. Riven stood in the Moon Guard's command center, a fortress carved into the Iron Fang range. His black armor was a second skin, his silver eyes cold as he scanned a report on his console. Moonshadow Sanctuary, anomalous activity. Nurse Solene, potential moonburned. Her name hit like a blade, his scar, hidden under his armor, flaring with pain. Solene. His mate, his curse, the woman he'd sealed away 3 years ago. Her auburn hair, her silver eyes, her laugh, they haunted him, a love he'd buried to save her. His hand gripped the console, knuckles white. "Investigate," he ordered, voice ice, his Lieutenant Vark nodding. "Thoroughly." Inside, he was breaking. Solene was waking, her wolf stirring, the seal he'd placed on her crumbling. He'd erased her memories, caged her nature, to protect her from the clan's wrath. The night-born alpha couldn't love a lowborn, a moonburned, a threat. Yet her scar, his bite's twin, bound them, a fated bond he couldn't sever. His orders were duty, but his heart was hers, a pain he suppressed with every breath. He stared at her file, her face staring back, silver eyes defiant. He'd hunt her, cage her again, to save her. But her name on his lips was a wound, bleeding still. Solene worked late, the infirmary's fluorescent lights harsh against her fatigue. A patient, an omega named Elias, watched her, his eyes kind but sharp. "You're different, Solene," he said, voice low. "Careful. They're watching." Her scar pulsed, fear spiking. Did he know? She forced a smile, checking his chart. Just tired, she lied, her fingers trembling. The dream's voice echoed, I can't love you, and her scar burned, as if the man was near. She didn't know him, yet her heart ached, a longing she couldn't name. She stepped outside, the night air cold, the Iron Fang peaks looming. A moon guard drone hummed overhead, its red eye scanning. Her scar throbbed, her nails sharpening again, a growl rising in her throat. She pressed her hand to her shoulder, hiding the mark, forcing the wolf down. She was Solene, a nurse, not a monster. But the dream, the claws, the pain, they were truths she couldn't outrun. The moon guard was coming, and her scar screamed a name she didn't know, a love she couldn't have. Riven stood alone in his quarters, his scar burning, Solene's heartbeat a faint pulse in his chest. Her file lay open, her silver eyes a mirror to his own. 3 years ago, she'd been his, her claws gentle, her love fierce. Then her wolf woke, a silver crest power the clan feared, and he'd sealed her, erased her, to save her from execution. Now, she was stirring, her nature breaking free. He'd ordered the investigation, a hunter's command, but every step toward her was a step toward ruin. His wolf howled, claiming her, defying duty. He touched his scar, her bite's twin, a mark from a night he'd never forget. She was his mate, fated, forbidden. The clan demanded her death, Selka's jade eyes watching his every move. He'd cage her again, hide her, to keep her alive. But her awakening was a fire he couldn't control, a love he couldn't deny. His fist clenched, blood seeping from his palm. Solene was his heart, his curse, and he'd protect her, even if it meant breaking them both. Solene returned to her cot, the sanctuary silent, the moon a sliver of warning. Her scar throbbed, the dream's kiss lingering, its pain a tether to a man she didn't know. She traced the mark, old but alive, its edges raw. Was she moonburned? A monster the clan hunted? The thought chilled her, but the wolf inside growled, defiant, alive. She'd hide it, survive, but the dream's voice, I can't love you, was a wound she couldn't close. Her heart ached, torn between fear and a longing she couldn't name. Elias's words echoed, they're watching. The moon guard would come, their black armor a death sentence. Her nails sharpened, then softened, her control slipping. She pressed her scar, grounding herself, but the wolf stirred, a call to something wild, something hers. The dream's man, his tears, his kiss, they were real, a truth buried in her blood. She'd fight to stay hidden, to stay Solene, but her scar pulsed, whispering a name, a love, a fate she couldn't escape. Chapter 2, The Cold Gaze. Moonshadow Sanctuary was a fortress of frost and shadow, its stone walls heavy under the Iron Fang Range's looming peaks. Solene stood at the infirmary's entrance, her fingers clutching a bandage, her shoulders bite mark throbbing faintly. Last night's dream, the black wolf, the man's kiss, I can't love you, lingered like a bruise on her heart. Her auburn hair clung to her sweat-damp neck, her silver eyes scanning the courtyard. The air shifted, a chill sweeping through as black-armored moon guard marched in, their presence a blade. At their center was a man, tall and commanding, his silver eyes ice-cold. Her scar flared, her heartbeat stumbling. She didn't know him, yet her body screamed his presence, a pull she couldn't name. Riven, the night-born alpha, strode into the sanctuary, his aura a storm of frost, silencing whispers, stilling breaths. His gaze swept the crowd, clinical, unyielding, landing on Solene. Her scar burned, her pulse racing, a raw ache spreading through her chest. His silver eyes held hers for a heartbeat, cold, detached, before moving on, leaving her trembling. The staff shrank back, his authority absolute, his demeanor void of warmth. No one dared think he held private passions, least of all for a low-born nurse. But Solene's scar pulsed, whispering a truth her mind couldn't grasp, a connection her heart couldn't deny. Solene retreated to the infirmary, the antiseptic scent sharp, grounding her. She adjusted a patient's her hands steady despite the storm within. But a whiff of herbal salve, bitter, medicinal, hit her, and her stomach churned. A memory flashed, needles piercing her skin, pain lancing through her veins, a cold table under her back. Her breath caught, her fingers trembling as she gripped the tray. Was it real? Her scar throbbed, the dream's kiss echoing, its pain a tether to something lost. She glanced at Elias, her Omega colleague, his gray eyes watching her too closely. "What's wrong?" she asked, voice sharp. Elias hesitated, his gaze flickering to the door. "Be careful, Solene," he said, voice low. "The Moon Guard are here. Especially their leader." His words were vague, his eyes guarded, offering no answers. She pressed, "What do you know?" But he turned away, busying himself with a chart. Her scar pulsed, fear coiling. The Moon Guard hunted moon-burned, cursed wolves like her, their claws a death sentence. She was alone, her wolf stirring, her past a fog. Elias's silence was a wall, her isolation a weight. She bandaged a patient's arm, her hands shaking, the dream's voice, "I can't love you," a wound that wouldn't heal. Riven stood in the sanctuary's command room, his black armor a shield, his silver eyes scanning reports. Solene, nurse, potential moon-burned. Her name was a blade, cutting through his resolve. He'd seen her in the courtyard, her auburn hair catching the light, her silver eyes defiant yet fragile. His scar, her bite's twin, burned under his armor, a reminder of the night he'd sealed her, erased her, to save her from the clan's wrath. Her gentleness with a patient, her quiet strength, tore at him, a love he couldn't claim. "Run a full background check," he ordered Vark, his voice cold, unyielding. "No exceptions." His heart was breaking. Solene was waking, her wolf stirring, the seal he'd placed fraying. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her claws soft, her love fierce. Then her silver crest power emerged, a threat the clan would kill for. He'd caged her nature, wiped her memories, to keep her alive. Now, his orders were a hunter's mask, hiding his need to protect her. Selka's jade eyes watched from the shadows, the council's suspicions growing. He'd hunt her, cage her again, to save her. But every glance at her file, her face staring back, was a knife in his chest, a love he couldn't bury. Solene worked through the morning, the infirmaries hum a fragile shield against her fear. Elias moved beside her, his silence heavy, his warning, especially their leader, a thorn in her mind. The Moon Guard's presence lingered, their drones humming outside, red eyes scanning. Her scar throbbed, the herbal scent triggering another flash, a cold room, restraints, a voice whispering her name. She shook it off, checking a patient's chart, but her nails sharpened for a heartbeat, then softened. Her breath hitched, fear clawing her. If she was moon-burned, the Moon Guard would find her. And their leader, his silver eyes, his cold gaze, felt like a key to her locked past. She stepped to the window, the iron fang peak stark against the sky. The leader's presence had shaken her, his gaze a weight she couldn't shake. Why did her scar burn when he looked at her? Why did her heart ache, as if it knew him? The dream's man, his tears, his kiss, felt closer, realer. She pressed her scar, grounding herself, but the wolf inside growled, restless, alive. She'd hide, survive, but the Moon Guard were watching, and her scar whispered a name she couldn't hear, a love she couldn't have. Riven watched Solene from a shadowed corridor, his scar pulsing, her heartbeat a faint echo in his chest. She soothed a patient, her voice soft, her hands gentle, and it broke him. Her silver eyes held pain, fear, strength, a mirror to the woman he'd loved, still loved. He'd sealed her wolf, her memories, to protect her from Selka, from the clan's execution. Now, she was unraveling, her nature fighting free. His orders to Vark were cold, precise, but each word was a lie. He wasn't hunting her to destroy her, he was shielding her, even if it meant her hate. He turned away, his scar burning, her scent, lavender, defiance, clinging to him. The council demanded results, Selka's suspicions a noose tightening. He'd ordered the check to appease them, to keep her hidden. But her awakening was a fire he couldn't control, a love he couldn't deny. His fist clenched, nails biting his palm. Solene was his mate, his curse, a lowborn he'd die for. He'd protect her, even if it meant caging her again, even if it broke them both. Solene finished her shift, the infirmary quiet, the patients asleep. Elias's warning echoed, his silence a barrier she couldn't breach. She slipped into the courtyard, the night air sharp, the iron fang range a dark promise. A drone hummed overhead, its red eye locking on her. Her scar flared, her nails sharpening, a growl rising in her throat. She pressed her shoulder, hiding the mark, forcing the wolf down. She was Solene, a nurse, not a monster. But the leader's gaze, those silver eyes, cold yet piercing, haunted her, as if he saw her truth. The dream's voice, "I can't love you," was a blade in her heart, the bite mark a chain to a past she couldn't reach. Elias knew something, but his fear kept him silent. She was alone, her wolf stirring, her scar burning. The Moon Guard were closing in, their leader a shadow she couldn't escape. Her heart ached, torn between fear and a longing she couldn't name. She'd fight to stay hidden, to stay herself, but her scar pulsed, whispering a love, a fate, she couldn't outrun. Chapter 3, The Rift of Awakening. Moonshadow Sanctuary was a cage under a claw-scratched moon, its shadows pooling in the courtyard. Solene woke in the dark, her cot cold, her feet bare on the stone floor. Her scar throbbed, the dream's voice, "I can't love you," a blade in her chest. She wasn't in her room. The sanctuary's back garden stretched before her, its earth torn by claw marks, deep and jagged. Her hands trembled, nails sharp, flecked with dirt. Her breath caught, a growl rising in her throat. She'd sleepwalked, half-shifted, her wolf breaking free. Her scar burned, a truth she couldn't deny, she was moonburned, a cursed wolf the Moon Guard hunted. A memory flickered, her 18th birthday, the awakening test every lowborn faced. A sterile room, a needle's sting, then nothing. A blank where answers should be. Her scar pulsed, her wolf stirring, defiant. She wasn't just a nurse, she was a monster, a secret the Moon Guard would kill for. Fear clawed her, but resolve hardened. She'd uncover the truth, her past, her scar, the man in her dreams. She pressed her shoulder, the bite mark alive, whispering a name she couldn't hear. She'd find answers, no matter the cost, even if it meant facing the Moon Guard's blades. Solene slipped back to the infirmary, her heart pounding, the claw marks a brand of her truth. The sanctuary was silent, but the weight of Riven's gaze, his silver eyes, cold yet piercing, lingered from yesterday. Her scar throbbed, his presence a shadow she couldn't shake. She bandaged a patient, her hands steady, but her mind raced. The awakening test, the blank, the wolf, she was unraveling. Elias watched her, his gray eyes wary, but he said nothing, his silence a wall. She was alone, her wolf a secret she couldn't share, her scar a chain to a past she couldn't reach. That night, she wandered again, drawn to the garden, her scar burning. Her nails sharpened, her vision glowing silver, her wolf clawing free. She scratched the earth, a low growl escaping, when a shadow loomed. Riven, his black armor gleaming, his silver eyes locked on her. "Solene," he said, voice low, steady, but laced with pain. She froze, her wolf claws bared, fear and fury colliding. "Stay away," she snarled, lunging, her claws raking his arm. Blood welled, but he didn't flinch, his eyes flashing with anguish. She stumbled back, her scar screaming, and fled into the dark, leaving him bleeding, alone. Riven stood in the garden, blood dripping from his arm, Solene's scent, lavender, defiance, fading into the night. Her claws had marked him, a wound he welcomed, a mirror to the scar on his chest. Her wolf was awake, her silver crest power breaking through the seal he'd placed 3 years ago. He'd erased her memories, caged her nature, to save her from the clan's wrath. Now, she was a storm, her silver eyes wild, her fear a blade in his heart. He'd intercepted her to protect her, to warn her, but her strike was her truth. She hated him, feared him, and he deserved it. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a faint echo in his chest. He'd seen her files, her test records, erased by his order, her awakening hidden to keep her alive. The Moon Guard were watching, Vark's reports growing urgent. Riven's orders were cold, but his soul was breaking. She was his mate, fated, forbidden, a lowborn he'd sealed to save. Selka's suspicions loomed, the council's eyes sharp. He'd hunt her, cage her again, to shield her. But her claws, her flight, her fear, they were a fire he couldn't control, a love he couldn't bury. Morning broke, the sanctuary buzzing with tension. Solene worked in the infirmary, her scar throbbing, Riven's blood on her claws a memory she couldn't shake. Why hadn't he fought back? His eyes, pain, not anger, haunted her, a puzzle to her locked past. The Moon Guard's drones patrolled, their red eyes scanning, her wolf stirring with every hum. She was moonburned, a truth she couldn't hide forever. Her 18th year, the test, the blank, she'd find answers, even if it meant facing him, the man whose gaze burned her soul. A new presence entered the infirmary, sharp and commanding. Selka, golden-haired, jade-eyed, her alpha aura ablaze. The Moon Guard's second-in-command, Riven's betrothed, strode in, her voice smooth as silk. "We're here to manage the moonburn threat," she said, addressing the staff. "To protect the clan." Her gaze locked on Solene, cold, venomous, a smile hiding a predator's teeth. Lowborns must know their place. Solene's scar flared, her wolf growling, but she lowered her eyes, fear coiling. Selka knew something, saw something, and it was a death sentence. Selka cornered Riven in the command room, her jade eyes sharp, her claws twitching. "Your interest in that nurse is reckless," she said, voice low, cutting. "Don't let a lowborn taint your status." Riven's silver eyes were ice, his scar hidden under his armor. "My duty is to the clan," he said, voice steady, but her words struck deep. Solene was his mate, his secret, a truth Selka could never know. He'd ordered the background check, a shield for Solene, but Selka's presence was a threat, her ambition a noose. She'd kill Solene if she suspected their bond. He stood rigid, his arm's wound throbbing, Solene's claws a mark he'd carry. Her awakening was a danger, her silver crest a power the clan feared. He'd sealed her to save her, but now she was breaking free, her wolf a fire he couldn't contain. Selka's gaze lingered, her warning clear, "Choose your place, or I'll choose for you." He nodded, cold, but his heart was Solene's, a love he couldn't claim. He'd protect her, even if it meant defying Selka, even if it meant their ruin. Solene slipped into the garden at dusk, her scar pulsing, the claw marks from her sleepwalking a stark reminder. She was moonburned, her wolf awake, her past a locked door. The awakening test, why was it blank? What had they done to her? Riven's blood, his pained eyes, haunted her. He'd let her strike him, his silence a weight she couldn't understand. Her scar burned, his scent, iron, cedar, power, lingering, as if he were near. She wanted answers, needed them, but fear held her back. The Moon Guard were closing in, Selka's jade eyes a promise of death. Elias found her, his gray eyes wary. "You're in danger, Solene," he said, voice low. "Selka's watching you." She nodded, her scar throbbing, her wolf growling. "What do they want?" she asked, but he shook his head, retreating. Her isolation was a cage, her wolf a fire. Riven's gaze, Selka's threat, her own awakening, they were chains she couldn't break. She'd find the truth, her past, her scar's secret, even if it meant facing him, the man whose blood she'd spilled, whose love she couldn't have. Chapter 4, Forbidden Touch. Moonshadow Sanctuary was a prison under a fractured moon, its walls closing in on Solene. She moved through the infirmary, her hands bandaging wounds, her silver eyes haunted. Her scar throbbed, the memory of clawing Riven's arm a weight she couldn't shake. She was moonburned, her wolf awake, her past a locked door. The Moon Guard's drones hummed outside, their red eyes relentless, and Selka's venomous gaze lingered like a death knell. Solene's heart raced, her nails sharpening briefly, then softening. She was a secret, a monster, and the sanctuary was no longer safe. In a shadowed corner of the storage room, she froze. Scratched into the wall, crude but clear, were the words, 003 lives. Her scar burned, a chill running through her. Subject 003, a rumor among lowborns, a moonburned who'd escaped the clan's experiments. Was it her? She traced the letters, her fingers trembling. Elias appeared, his gray eyes wary. You wrote this, she said, voice sharp. He hesitated, then nodded. A warning. The government's watching you, Solene. They know. Her stomach dropped, despair clawing her. Was Riven part of it? His silver eyes, his blood on her claws, could she trust him? She was alone, her wolf a curse, her scar a chain to a truth she couldn't reach. Solene worked through the day, Elias's warning a thorn in her mind. They know. The Moon Guard's presence was suffocating, their black armor a constant threat. Her scar pulsed, Riven's pained eyes from the garden haunting her. Why hadn't he fought back? Why did her heart ache for him, a man she didn't know? She needed answers, her test, her scar, her wolf, but despair gnawed at her. The government, the Moon Guard, Riven, they were closing in, and she had nowhere to run. Her nails sharpened again, her wolf growling, restless. She pressed her scar, grounding herself, but the truth was clear, she was hunted, and Riven's motives were a shadow she couldn't trust. That evening, a routine inspection brought the Moon Guard to the infirmary. Riven led them, his silver eyes cold, his black armor gleaming. His presence was a storm, silencing the room. He moved closer, his gaze locking on Solene, clinical, unyielding. Records, he ordered, voice like ice. She handed over a chart, but his hand closed around her wrist, his touch a spark. Her scar blazed, their heartbeats sinking, a pulse that shook her core. Her vision glowed silver, her wolf surging, claws baring. She lunged, not to strike, but to kiss him, her lips crashing against his, desperate, tears streaming. His taste, iron, pain, was her dream made real. Riven froze as Solene's lips met his, her scar burning against his touch, their bond a fire he couldn't quench. Her kiss was a blade, cutting through his armor, his resolve. Her tears soaked his skin, her wolf alive, her silver crest power breaking free. He'd sealed her 3 years ago, erased her to save her, but now she was awake, her heart calling his. His scar pulsed, her bites twin, a vow he couldn't break. She was his mate, his curse, a lowborn he'd die for. But Selka's threat loomed, the clan's wrath a noose. This kiss was forbidden, a death sentence for them both. He pushed her away, his silver eyes hard, voice colder than the iron Fong peaks. Get close to me again, and you'll die. Her silver eyes widened, pain flashing, but he turned, his back to her, his fist clenched. His nails pierced his palm, blood dripping to the stone floor, each drop a scream he couldn't voice. He strode out, leaving her trembling, the Moon Guard trailing. His heart was hers, but his words were a wall, a lie to keep her alive. He'd protect her, even if it meant her hate, even if it broke him. Solene stood frozen, her lips tingling, her scar burning, Riven's rejection a knife in her chest. You'll die. His words were ice, but his taste lingered, a truth her heart couldn't deny. Why had she kissed him? Her wolf had surged, her scar sinking with his touch, a bond she didn't understand. Tears fell, her claws retracting, her silver crest fading. She was moonburned, a monster, and he was the Moon Guard's leader, her hunter. Yet his eyes, pain, not anger, haunted her, a puzzle to her locked past. She pressed her scar, her heart fracturing, the kiss a forbidden fire she couldn't extinguish. Elias watched from the shadows, his gray eyes heavy. You're playing with death, Solene, he said, voice low. She wiped her tears, her voice breaking. Who is he to me? Elias shook his head, retreating. Stay away from him. Her despair deepened, the wall's message, 003 lives, a taunt. The government knew her, Riven knew her, but she didn't know herself. Her wolf growled, defiant, alive. She'd find the truth, her test, her scar, her kiss, even if it meant facing him, the man whose blood she craved, whose love she couldn't have. Riven stood in the command room, his palm bleeding, Solene's kiss afire in his soul. Her scar had resonated with his, their bond a pulse he couldn't silence. She was awakening, her silver crest a power the clan feared, a threat Selka would kill to erase. He'd ordered the background check, a shield to keep her hidden, but her kiss had shattered his control. He'd pushed her away to save her, his words a lie to keep Selka's eyes off her. The council's suspicions grew, Vark's reports pressing. He'd hunt her, cage her again, to protect her, but her lips on his were a truth he couldn't deny. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a faint echo in his chest. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love fierce, her claws gentle. Then her wolf woke, her power a danger, and he'd sealed her to save her from execution. Now, she was breaking free, her kiss a call to their fated bond. Selka's warning, don't let a lowborn taint your status, was a blade at his throat. He'd defy her, the clan, for Solene, but every step toward her was a step toward ruin. His blood pooled on the floor, a vow he'd bleed for her, even if it meant their end. Solene slipped into the storage room at midnight, the wall's message, 003 lives, a beacon in the dark. Her scar throbbed, the kiss a wound she couldn't close. She was moonburned, a subject of experiments, hunted by the government, by Riven. His rejection, you'll die, was a wall, but his touch, his blood, was a truth her wolf claimed. She traced the wall's scratches, her nails sharpening, her resolve hardening. She'd uncover her past, her test, the man whose kiss burned her soul. The moon guard's drones hummed outside, Selka's jade eyes a shadow. She was hunted, alone, but her wolf was awake, and it would fight. Elias found her, his voice urgent. They're closing in, Solene. The government, Selka, they know you're 003. Her scar flared, fear and defiance colliding. Why me? She asked, but he backed away, his silence a cage. Her despair was a weight, her wolf a fire. Riven's kiss, his rejection, his blood, they were chains she couldn't break. She'd find the truth, even if it meant facing him, the man whose touch was forbidden, whose love was a death sentence. Chapter 5, The Herb of Betrayal. Moonshadow Sanctuary was a labyrinth of secrets, its walls whispering betrayal under a waning moon. Solene hunched over a lab bench in the infirmary's back room, her silver eyes narrowed at a vial of crushed herbs. The bitter scent, medicinal, sharp, had haunted her since the day it triggered a memory of needles and pain. Her scar throbbed, the kiss with Riven still burning her lips, his rejection, you'll die, a wound in her heart. She was moonburned, subject 003, hunted by the government, by him. The wall's message, 003 lives, was a taunt, but these herbs were a clue, a key to her locked past. She tested the sample, her hands steady despite her racing pulse. The results flashed on the screen, a memory suppressant, designed to dull the mind, cage the wolf. A memory hit, Riven's silver eyes, a needle piercing her arm, his voice low, this is for your own good. Rage surged, her claws sharpening, her scar blazing. He'd drugged her, erased her, betrayed her. Her wolf growled, defiant, alive. She wasn't just a nurse, she was a weapon, and the moon guard, Riven, had tried to break her. She slammed the vial down, resolve hardening. She'd fight their control, uncover her truth, even if it meant tearing Riven apart. Solene worked through the day, her anger a fire in her chest. The infirmary buzzed, patients groaning, but her mind was on the herbs, on Riven. His kiss had been a spark, his rejection a blade, but the memory of his needle was a betrayal she couldn't forgive. Elias watched her, his gray eyes wary, but he kept his distance, his silence a wall. The moon guard's drones patrolled outside, their red eyes scanning, Selka's threat, lowborns must know their place, a shadow over her. She was hunted, her wolf awake, her scar pulsing with a truth she'd claim, no matter the cost. That night, her dorm's door creaked open, Riven's scent, iron, cedar, power, flooding the room. He stood in the shadows, his black armor gleaming, his silver eyes cold but fractured. "Stop digging," he said, voice low, a warning laced with a plea. "You're tearing yourself apart." Her scar burned, her wolf surging, claws baring. "You already destroyed me," she spat, her voice venom, tears stinging. "You drugged me, caged me." His face tightened, pain flashing, but his stance was rigid. "Don't force my hand, Solene. I'll ruin you." She laughed, bitter, her claws twitching. "You already have." He stepped closer, then stopped, his eyes begging her to stop, but she held her ground, her heart tearing. Riven stood frozen, Solene's words a blade in his soul. Her scar pulsed, her silver eyes blazing with hate, with pain, with the truth he'd buried. She'd found the herbs, the suppressant he'd used to seal her wolf, her memories, 3 years ago. He'd saved her from the clan's execution, but at what cost? Her kiss still burned his lips, her claws marked his arm, her hate a wound he deserved. His scar, her bite's twin, throbbed, their bond a fire he couldn't quench. He wanted to confess, to beg her forgiveness, but Selka's eyes, the council's wrath, held him back. He'd tracked her investigation, her lab tests, her defiance. She was unraveling, her silver crest power a threat the clan would kill for. His orders to Vark were a shield, his coldness a mask to keep her alive. "Stop," he whispered, voice breaking, a plea she couldn't hear. Her laugh, bitter, broken, cut deeper than her claws. He turned, leaving her trembling, his fist clenched, blood seeping from his palm. He'd protect her, even if it meant her hate, even if it meant caging her again. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a vow he'd die for, a love he couldn't claim. Solene sat on her cot, her scar burning, Riven's plea, "Don't force my hand," echoing in her mind. Her wolf growled, her claws retracting, but her anger was a storm. He drugged her, erased her, and now he warned her to stop. Her kiss, her hate, her truth, they were hers, and she'd fight for them. The moon guard's drones hummed outside, Selka's jade eyes a constant threat. She was Subject 003, a weapon, and Riven was her betrayer. But his eyes, pain, not anger, haunted her, a puzzle to her locked past. She needed answers, and she'd tear the sanctuary apart to find them. A soft knock broke her thoughts. Dr. Lyra, the sanctuary's advisor, slipped inside, her gray eyes sharp, her voice low. "Solene, your parents were part of the Silver Crest experiments," she said, her words a spark in the dark. "They hid a power in you, something the clan fears." Solene's scar flared, hope and fear colliding. Her parents, scientists, rebels, had made her a weapon? Her wolf stirred, a fire she could feel but not grasp. "What am I?" she whispered, tears falling. Lyra's gaze softened. "You're more than they know. But be careful, Riven's watching, and Selka's hunting." Solene nodded, her resolve hardening, her fear a shadow to her awakening power. Riven stood in the command room, his palms still bleeding, Solene's hate a weight he couldn't shed. Her investigation was a fire, her silver crest a danger he couldn't hide. He'd drugged her, sealed her, to save her from the clan's blades, but now she was breaking free, her wolf a storm he couldn't control. Selka's suspicions grew, her warning, "Don't let a lowborn taint your status," a noose tightening. He'd ordered Vark to tighten surveillance, a lie to keep Solene hidden, but her defiance was unraveling his plans. Her kiss, her hate, her truth, they were a call he couldn't ignore. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a faint echo in his chest. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love fierce, her claws gentle. Then her silver crest woke, a power the clan feared, and he'd betrayed her to save her. Now, she was a weapon, her parents' legacy a secret he'd buried. Lyra's involvement was a risk, she knew too much, saw too much. He'd protect Solene, defy Selka, the clan, even if it meant his ruin. His blood dripped to the floor, a vow he'd bleed for her, even if it broke them both. Solene slipped into the lab at dawn, the herb's results a burning truth. Riven had drugged her, erased her, but her wolf was awake, her power stirring. Lyra's words, "Your parents hid a power in you," were a spark, a hope she clung to. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, a weapon the clan feared. Her scar throbbed, Riven's kiss a fire she couldn't extinguish, his betrayal a wound she couldn't forgive. The Moon Guard's drones patrolled, Selka's threat looming. She'd fight their control, uncover her parents' legacy, her power, even if it meant facing Riven, the man who'd broken her, whose love she couldn't escape. Elias found her, his gray eyes urgent. "They're tightening the net, Solene." Riven's orders. Her scar flared, anger and hope colliding. "Let them come," she said, her voice steady, her wolf growling. Lyra's revelation was a light in her darkness, but Riven's betrayal was a shadow she couldn't outrun. Her claws twitched, her silver crest stirring, a power she'd claim. She'd confront him, tear through his lies, even if it meant their end. Her scar pulsed, whispering his name, a love she hated, a fate she couldn't deny. Chapter 6, The Call of the Wolf's Heart. Moonshadow Sanctuary was a tomb under a jagged moon, its shadows clawing at Solene's heart. She woke in her cot, gasping, her scar throbbing, tears soaking her pillow. In her dream, a wolf cub named Willow stood in a misty forest, her silver eyes soft, her voice a whisper, "He loves you, but he cages you." The cub's fur brushed her hand, a memory of a childhood friend, a piece of herself buried deep. Solene's scar burned, the truth crashing over her. Willow was her, a fragment of a past stolen by Riven's drugs, his betrayal. She clutched her shoulder, sobbing, the bite mark a chain to a love she couldn't grasp, a life she couldn't reclaim. Her tears fell, Willow's words a wound, "He loves you." Riven, the man who'd drugged her, kissed her, rejected her. Her wolf stirred, growling, alive, her silver crest power a fire she couldn't control. She was Subject 003, a weapon, her parents' legacy a secret the clan feared. The sanctuary's walls closed in, the Moon Guard's drones humming outside, Selka's jade eyes a death sentence. Solene wiped her tears, her resolve hardening. Willow was her truth, her childhood, and she'd reclaim it, even if it meant facing Riven, the man whose love was a cage, whose heart she couldn't trust. Solene moved through the infirmary, her scar pulsing, Willow's voice echoing in her mind. The memory suppressant, Riven's needle, her parents' experiments, they were pieces of a puzzle she was desperate to solve. Elias watched her, his gray eyes guarded, but he offered no answers, his silence a wall. The Moon Guard's presence was a weight, their black armor a constant threat. She bandaged a patient, her hands steady, but her heart raced. Her wolf was awake, her power stirring, and Riven's betrayal, "You already destroyed me," was a fire she couldn't extinguish. She'd fight the clan, uncover her past, even if it meant tearing him apart. A scream shattered the infirmary's hum. A patient, an Omega named Kale, thrashed on his bed, his eyes glowing silver, claws slashing the air. Solene rushed to him, her scar flaring, her voice soft but firm. "Kale, look at me." Her silver eyes met his, a pulse of connection surging through her. His claws stilled, his gaze clearing, and he whispered, "Silver Crest." Her heart stopped, her power, her truth, had reached him, calmed him. The other patient stared, whispers spreading. She was more than a nurse, more than Subject 003. She could change the Moonburn's fate, but the weight of her power was a hope and a fear she couldn't escape. Riven stood in the Moon Guard's command center, the Iron Fang range looming through the window, its peaks a reminder of his duty. Selka faced him, her jade eyes sharp, her voice cutting. "Why the leniency with the sanctuary, Riven? Are you compromised?" The council's gazes bored into him, suspicion heavy. His silver eyes were ice, his voice steady. "The sanctuary's under control. My duty is clear." But Solene's image flashed, her kiss, her hate, her claws, a blade in his soul. His scar throbbed, her heartbeat a faint echo in his chest, tearing him between love and duty. He'd sealed her 3 years ago, drugged her to save her from the clan's wrath, but now she was awake, her silver crest a threat Selka would kill for. His orders to Vark, surveillance, background checks, were a shield to keep her hidden, but Selka's questions were a noose. He saw Solene's silver eyes, her tears, her kiss, and his resolve cracked. He wanted to confess, to beg her to run, but duty chained him. His fist clenched, nails biting his palm, blood seeping. He'd protect her, defy Selka, even if it meant his ruin, even if her hate was all he'd ever have. Solene sat in the infirmary's back room, Kale's words, silver crest, ringing in her ears. Her scar pulsed, Willow's voice, he loves you, a wound she couldn't close. She was a weapon, her parents' legacy a power the clan feared, but Riven had caged her, betrayed her. Her kiss had been a spark, his rejection, you'll die, a blade, yet his pain haunted her. Why did he plead with her to stop? Why did her heart ache for him, a man who'd broken her? The Moon Guard's drones patrolled, their red eyes scanning, Selka's threat a shadow. She'd fight, uncover her truth, even if it meant facing him, the man whose love was a prison. Dr. Lyra appeared, her gray eyes sharp, her voice low. Your power reached Kale, Solene. You're awakening others, just as your parents planned. Solene's scar flared, hope and fear colliding. My parents wanted this, she asked, voice trembling. Lyra nodded. They made you a beacon for the moon burned, a leader. But it makes you a target. Solene's wolf growled, her silver crest stirring, a fire she could feel but not control. She could save her kind, change their fate, but Riven's betrayal, Selka's hunt, were chains she couldn't break. Her tears fell, her resolve hardening, she'd fight, even if it meant losing him. Riven paced the command center, his scar burning, Solene's power a storm he couldn't contain. Her awakening was spreading, Kale's transformation proof of her silver crest's reach. He'd seen her calm him, her silver eyes a beacon, a power the clan would destroy. He'd drugged her, erased her, to save her from execution, but now she was a fire, her hate a wound he deserved. Selka's questions, are you compromised, were a blade at his throat, the council's eyes a weight. He'd ordered tighter surveillance, a lie to keep Solene hidden, but her power was unraveling his plans. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a vow in his chest. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love fierce, her claws gentle. Then her silver crest woke, a danger the clan feared, and he'd betrayed her to save her. Now, Willow's memory, her childhood, her truth, was breaking through, a call he couldn't ignore. He wanted to protect her, confess his love, but Selka's jade eyes watched, her claws ready. He'd defy the clan, bleed for Solene, even if it meant their end. His blood dripped to the floor, a silent oath to her, a love he couldn't claim. Solene slipped into the garden at midnight, her scar throbbing, Willow's voice alight in her darkness. He loves you, but he cages you. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, a beacon for the moonburned. Her parents had made her a leader, a hope for her kind, but Riven had drugged her, stolen her past. Her kiss, his rejection, his plea, they were a puzzle she couldn't solve. The Moon Guard's drones hummed, Selka's threat looming. She'd awaken others, change their fate, but Riven was a shadow she couldn't escape, his love a cage she couldn't break. Elias found her, his gray eyes urgent. Your power's spreading, Solene. Kale's just the start. But Selka knows. Her scar flared, fear and hope colliding. What does Riven want? She asked, voice breaking. Elias shook his head. He's torn, but he's dangerous. Her wolf growled, her silver crest a fire she'd wield. She'd fight the clan, uncover her parents' legacy, even if it meant facing Riven, the man who'd betrayed her, whose love was a forbidden call she couldn't ignore. Chapter 7, The Clash of Blood and Tears. Moonshadow Sanctuary was a crucible under a blood-red moon, its shadows clawing at Solene's soul. She jolted awake in the infirmary, her scar throbbing, her silver eyes wild. The air was thick with panic, a patient screaming, blood pooling on the floor. Her claws were out, slick with crimson, her wolf unleashed in the night. She'd shifted, lost control, and hurt someone, an Omega, his arm torn, his eyes wide with fear. Her scar burned, Willow's voice, he loves you, but he cages you, a blade in her heart. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, a danger to everyone, herself included. Footsteps thundered. Riven burst in, his black armor gleaming, his silver eyes a storm of fury and pain. Solene, he roared, his alpha aura crashing over her, a force that pinned her wolf. Her claws retracted, her vision dimming, but she fought, snarling, hating his control. "Let me go," she screamed, her voice raw, but his will was iron, forcing her back to human form. Her strength crumbled, her body trembling, and she collapsed into his arms, her scar pulsing against his chest. She hated him, his drugs, his rejection, his cage, but as darkness took her, his warmth was a traitor's comfort she couldn't deny. Solene woke in a sterile room, her head pounding, her scar a burning reminder. She was on a cot, restrained, the infirmary's antiseptic scent sharp. Her wolf was quiet, caged by Riven's alpha will, but her anger was afire. She'd hurt someone, her silver crest a curse she couldn't control. Her eyes caught Riven's arm, bandaged but seeping blood, her claws work from the garden, now joined by new wounds. He stood by the door, his silver eyes cold, his face unreadable. "Why didn't you kill me?" she demanded, voice breaking, tears falling. "I'm a monster." He was silent, his scar, her bite's twin, hidden under his armor. "You shouldn't exist," he said, voice low, cutting, but his eyes flickered with pain. Her heart twisted, his words a blade, yet his wounds told a different story. He'd taken her claws, her hate, her chaos, and still stood guard. She wanted to scream, to claw him again, but her wolf whimpered, drawn to him, to the man who'd drugged her, kissed her, betrayed her. Her scar pulsed, Willow's truth, he loves you, a chain she couldn't break. She was trapped, hating him, needing him, a silver crest caught in his cage. Riven stood rigid, Solene's tears a wound deeper than her claws. Her wolf had torn through the sanctuary, her power a beacon the clan would destroy. He'd suppressed her, his alpha will a chain to save her, but her hate, "You already destroyed me," was a truth he couldn't escape. His arm bled, her marks a vow he'd carry, a mirror to the scar on his chest. 3 years ago, he'd drugged her, sealed her silver crest to save her from execution, but now she was awake, a fire he couldn't contain. Her question, "Why didn't you kill me?" was a blade in his soul, one he deserved. Selka's voice echoed from the command center, her jade eyes sharp, her claws twitching. "The nurse attacked a patient, Riven. She's a threat. Execute her." The council nodded, their gazes heavy, but Riven's face was stone. "I'll handle it," he said, voice cold, a lie to buy time. He'd falsified orders, redirecting Solene to a hidden cell, a secret prison in the Iron Fang range. He'd cage her again, protect her from Selka's wrath, the clan's blades. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a vow in his chest. He'd bleed for her, defy them all, even if it meant her hate, even if it meant their ruin. Solene sat in the sterile room, her wrists chafed from restraints, her scar throbbing. Riven's words, "You shouldn't exist," cut deeper than her claws, but his wounds haunted her. Why did he take her strikes? Why did he protect her, only to cage her? Her wolf stirred, her silver crest a power she could feel but not wield. Kale's voice, silver crest, and Lyra's revelation, "Your parents made you a leader," were sparks in her darkness. She was a beacon, a hope for the moon burned, but Riven's control was a chain she couldn't break. She hated him, needed him, a paradox that tore her apart. Elias slipped in, his gray eyes urgent. "They're calling for your death, Solene." Selka's pushing hard. Her scar flared, fear and defiance colliding. "Why does he keep me alive?" she asked, voice trembling. Elias hesitated. "He's fighting something bigger than you know." His words were vague, his retreat a wall. Her despair was a weight, her wolf a fire. Riven's wounds, his silence, his cage, they were a puzzle she couldn't solve. She'd fight, uncover her truth, her power, even if it meant facing him, the man who'd broken her, whose love was a chain she couldn't escape. Riven stood in the command center, his arm throbbing, Solene's hate afire in his soul. Her wolf had broken free, her silver crest a danger the clan would kill for. Selka's demand, execute her, was a blade at his throat, the council's eyes a noose. He'd falsified the orders, redirecting her to a cell hidden deep in the Iron Fang range, a place even Selka couldn't find. He'd saved her from execution 3 years ago, drugged her to cage her power, but now she was a storm, her hate a wound he deserved. Her kiss, her claws, her tears, they were a call he couldn't ignore. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a vow he'd die for. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love fierce, her claws gentle. Then her silver crest woke, a power the clan feared, and he'd betrayed her to save her. Now, she was a leader, a beacon, awakening others like Kale. Selka's jade eyes watched, her claws ready, the council's suspicions growing. He'd defy them, bleed for Solene, even if it meant his ruin. His blood dripped to the floor, a silent oath to her, a love he couldn't claim, a cage he couldn't break. Solene was moved at dawn, her wrists bound, her scar burning. The moon guard escorted her to a hidden transport, their black armor a wall, Riven's absence a wound. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, a leader for the moon burned, but caged again by the man who drugged her, kissed her, spared her. His words, "You shouldn't exist," were a blade, but his wounds, his silence, were a truth she couldn't grasp. Her wolf growled, her power stirring, a fire she'd wield. She'd fight the clan, uncover her parents' legacy, even if it meant facing him, the man who'd betrayed her, whose love was a forbidden chain. In the transport, Lyra's words echoed, "You're a leader," and Kale's, "Silver crest," a hope in her darkness. Elias's warning, Selka's pushing hard, was a shadow, but Riven's wounds were a light. Why did he protect her? Why did he cage her? Her scar pulsed, Willow's voice, "He loves you," a call she couldn't ignore. She'd break free, awaken her kind, even if it meant tearing through Riven's lies, his love, his heart. Her tears fell, her resolve hardening, a silver crest ready to burn, a love she hated, a fate she couldn't escape. Chapter 8, The Heartbeat in the Cage. The secret Moon Guard facility was a tomb carved into the Iron Fang range, its stone walls cold and unyielding. Solene sat on a metal cot, her wrists bruised from restraints, her scar throbbing under the dim light. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, caged again by Riven, the man who drugged her, kissed her, spared her. Her wolf was silent, suppressed by his alpha will, but her heart burned with rage. The memory of injuring a patient, Riven's wounds, his words, "You shouldn't exist," cut deeper than the steel around her. She was a beacon for the moon burned, but trapped, her power a fire she couldn't wield. Riven entered, his black armor a shadow, his silver eyes cold as frost. "Who are you working with?" he demanded, voice sharp, a commander's tone. She glared, her silver eyes defiant, tears threatening. "No one," she spat, her voice raw. "You're the one who caged me." His face was stone, but as her tears fell, he faltered, offering a cup of water. His fingers brushed hers, a spark igniting. Their scars pulsed, heartbeats sinking, a bond that shook her core. For a moment, his eyes softened, pain flickering, but he pulled back, the interrogator's mask returning. She clutched the cup, hating him, needing him, their heartbeats a forbidden rhythm in the dark. Solene sat in silence, the cup trembling in her hands, Riven's touch a fire she couldn't extinguish. His question, "Who are you working with?" was a lie. He knew she was alone, a silver crest hunted by Selka, the clan, the government. Her scar burned, Willow's voice, "He loves you, but he cages you," a truth she couldn't escape. Why did he spare her? Why did his wounds, his gentleness, haunt her? She was a leader, her parents' legacy a power to save her kind, but his control was a chain she couldn't break. Her wolf stirred, defiant, her resolve hardening. She'd fight, even from this cage. A faint noise broke the silence. Elias slipped into the cell, his gray eyes urgent, a lockpick in hand. "We're getting you out," he whispered, working the restraints. Her scar flared, hope surging, but footsteps echoed. Riven appeared, his silver eyes blazing, his alpha aura pinning Elias. "Leave," Riven growled, voice lethal. Elias hesitated, but Riven's gaze softened, a silent plea. He let Elias go, then turned to Solene. "Anyone who tries to save you will die," he said, voice cold but fractured. "You heartless bastard," she screamed, tears streaming, her wolf snarling. He stood rigid, pain flashing, but said nothing, leaving her alone, her hate afire, her heart breaking. Riven stood outside the cell, his scar throbbing, Solene's curse, "You heartless bastard," a blade in his soul. He'd let Elias go, a risk to keep her safe, but her hate was a wound he deserved. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, her power awakening others, a threat Selka would kill for. He drugged her, caged her, to save her from execution, but now she was a storm, her tears a call he couldn't answer. His heartbeats had synced with hers, their bond of fire he couldn't quench. He wanted to confess, to free her, but Selka's jade eyes, the council's wrath, held him back. He'd moved her here, falsified orders to protect her from Selka's demand for execution. The facility was hidden, a sanctuary of steel, but it was still a cage. Her power was growing, her silver crest a beacon the clan feared. His arm throbbed, her claws marks a vow he'd carry. He'd defy Selka, the clan, bleed for Solene, but every moment near her was a step toward ruin. His fist clenched, blood seeping from his palm, a silent oath to her, a love he couldn't claim, a cage he couldn't break. Solene paced the cell, her scar pulsing, Riven's touch, his water, his heartbeat, a wound she couldn't close. His warning, "Anyone who tries to save you will die," was a chain, but his eyes, his gentleness, were a puzzle. Why did he let Elias go? Why did he cage her, yet protect her? Her wolf growled, her silver crest stirring, a power she could feel but not wield. She was a leader, a beacon, but trapped, her parents' legacy a shadow she couldn't grasp. Her tears fell, her resolve hardening, she'd break free, awaken her kind, even if it meant tearing through him. In the cell's corner, a glint caught her eye, a crystal, small, pulsing with light. She touched it, and a memory flooded her, a young Solene, silver eyes bright, promising a shadowy figure, "I'd die for love." Her parents' voices echoed, "You're our hope, our weapon." Her scar blazed, the crystal a relic of their experiments, her silver crest their gift. She clutched it, tears streaming, her wolf roaring. She was Subject 003, a leader, and she'd awaken fully, break Riven's chains, even if it meant facing him, the man whose love was a cage, whose heart she couldn't escape. Riven stood in the facility's shadows, his scar burning, Solene's hate a fire in his soul. She'd found something, he'd sensed it, her power surging, a beacon he couldn't hide. Her silver crest was awakening others, a threat the clan would destroy. He'd drugged her, caged her, to save her 3 years ago, but now she was a storm, her tears a wound he deserved. Selka's demand for her death was a blade at his throat, the council's eyes a noose. He'd falsified orders, hidden her here, but her power was unraveling his plans. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a vow in his chest. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love fierce, her claws gentle. Then her silver crest woke, a danger the clan feared, and he'd betrayed her to save her. Now, her parents' legacy was breaking through, a crystal he hadn't known existed. He wanted to free her, confess his love, but Selka's jade eyes watched, her claws ready. He'd defy the clan, bleed for Solene, even if it meant his ruin. His blood dripped to the floor, a silent oath to her, a love he couldn't claim. Solene clutched the crystal, her scar throbbing, the memory, "I'd die for love," a fire in her soul. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, a leader for the moonburned. Her parents had made her a weapon, a hope, but Riven had caged her, betrayed her. His touch, his heartbeat, his gentleness, they were a puzzle she couldn't solve. The facility's walls closed in, the moon guard's drones humming outside, Selka's threat a shadow. Her wolf roared, her power surging, a fire she'd wield. She'd break free, awaken her kind, even if it meant facing Riven, the man who'd chained her, whose love was a forbidden heartbeat. Elias's words echoed, Selka's pushing hard, but Riven's actions, letting him go, sparing her, were a light in her darkness. Why did he protect her? Why did he cage her? Her scar pulsed, Willow's voice, he loves you, a call she couldn't ignore. She'd awaken fully, break his chains, even if it meant tearing through his lies, his love, his heart. Her tears fell, her resolve hardening, a silver crest ready to burn, a love she hated, a fate she couldn't escape. Chapter 9, The Awakening of the Bloodline. The Moon Guard facility was a steel cage buried in the Iron Fang Range, its walls trembling under a fractured moon. Solene clutched the consciousness crystal, its pulse syncing with her scar, her heart pounding with Willow's voice, he loves you, but he cages you. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, a beacon for the moon burned, caged by Riven's betrayal. Her wolf roared, her power a fire she could no longer contain. She raised the crystal, her silver eyes blazing, and smashed it against the cell's floor. Light erupted, a silver storm engulfing her, her body shifting. Fur gleamed, radiant and white, claws sharp as starlight, her silver crest wolf form fully awake, mind and body a force unmatched. The facility shuddered as she roared, her power tearing through steel, walls crumbling like paper. Alarms screamed, drones sparking and falling. Her scar blazed, her heart a furnace of rage and freedom. She was no longer a nurse, no longer caged, she was a weapon, her parents' legacy unleashed. Guards rushed in, their blades useless against her radiance. She tore through them, her claws a blur, her mind sharp with purpose. She'd escape, awaken her kind, defy Riven, the clan, the government. Her wolf howled, a call to the moon burned, but her heart ached, Riven's touch, his heartbeat, his wounds, a chain she couldn't break. Solene bounded through the collapsing facility, her silver crest form a beacon in the dark, her claws carving a path to freedom. The Iron Fang Range loomed outside, its peaks a promise of escape. But a shadow loomed, Riven, his black armor gleaming, his silver eyes a storm of pain and duty. Solene, stop, he roared, his alpha aura crashing against her, a force of will that shook her core. Her silver crest power surged, a radiant counterforce, their energies colliding in a burst of light and shadow. Her claws slashed, tearing his armor, blood welling as he staggered but held his ground. You made me a weapon, not a lover, she cried, her voice a howl, tears streaming down her wolf face. Her claws struck again, deep, his chest bleeding, his silver eyes wide with agony. He fell to his knees, blood pooling, his voice a whisper, Solene, her heart shattered, her wolf faltering, her rage and love colliding. She'd wounded him, maybe killed him, the man who'd drugged her, kissed her, spared her. Her scar pulsed, their heartbeats still synced, a bond she couldn't sever. She turned, fleeing into the night, his whisper a wound, her love a fire she couldn't quench. Riven lay on the shattered floor, blood seeping, Solene's howl echoing in his soul. Her silver crest was a storm, a power he'd caged to save her, now unleashed, tearing through him. His scar throbbed, her heartbeat a vow in his chest, even as he bled. He'd drugged her, betrayed her, to protect her from the clan's wrath, but her claws, her hate, were a truth he deserved. She was Subject 003, a beacon, her parents' legacy a threat Selka would kill for. He'd falsified orders, hidden her, but her awakening was a fire he couldn't control. His vision blurred, her words, you made me a weapon, a blade in his heart. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love fierce, her claws gentle. Then her silver crest woke, a danger the clan feared, and he'd caged her to save her. Now, she was free, her power a call to the moon burned, a threat to the clan. Selka's demand for her death loomed, the council's eyes a noose. He'd defy them, bleed for her, even if it meant his end. His blood pooled, a silent oath to her, a love he couldn't claim, a life he couldn't save. Solene fled through the Ironfang range, her silver crest form a radiant blur, her scar burning with rage and grief. Riven's blood, his whisper, Solene, haunted her, a wound deeper than her claws. She was free, her power awakened, but her heart was caged by love and hate. The moon lit her path, her wolf howling, a call to her kind. A figure emerged from the shadows, Dr. Lyra, her gray eyes urgent, a data chip in hand. The Moonburst Project, Lyra said, voice low. The government's plan to weaponize Moonburned. Selka's leading the purge. You can stop her. Solene's scar flared, her wolf growling, the chip a spark in her darkness. Her parents had made her a leader, a silver crest to save her kind, but Riven's blood was on her claws, his love a chain she couldn't break. Why me? She asked, voice trembling. Lyra's gaze softened. Because you're their hope. Solene clutched the chip, her resolve hardening. She'd stop Selka, save the Moonburned, even if it meant facing Riven's ghost, his love, his betrayal. Her tears fell, her wolf roaring, a silver crest ready to burn, a fate she couldn't escape. Riven clung to consciousness, his blood staining the rubble, Solene's escape a fire in his soul. Her silver crest was a beacon, awakening others, a threat the clan would destroy. He'd caged her, betrayed her, to save her, but her claws had broken him, her hate a wound he deserved. Selka's jade eyes loomed in his mind, her demand for Solene's death a blade at his throat. He'd falsified orders, hidden her, but her power was unraveling his plans. The Moonburst Project, whispers he'd heard, would weaponize her kind, and Selka would lead the slaughter. His scar pulsed, her heartbeat a vow he'd die for. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love a light, her claws a promise. Now, she was a storm, her silver crest a call he couldn't ignore. He'd defy Selka, the clan, even if it meant his death. His vision darkened, her name on his lips, a love he couldn't claim. He'd bleed for her, protect her, even if she hated him, even if it ended them both. His blood pooled, a silent oath, a heart breaking under the weight of her freedom. Solene stood on a rocky outcrop, the Ironfang range sprawling under the moon, the data chip heavy in her hand. Her silver crest form gleamed, her scar throbbing, Riven's blood a wound in her soul. She was Subject 003, a leader, her parents' legacy a power to save her kind. Lyra's words, you're their hope, were a spark, but Riven's whisper, Solene, was a chain. She'd wounded him, maybe killed him, the man who'd caged her, loved her, betrayed her. Her wolf howled, her power a fire she'd wield. She'd stop Selka, end the Moonburst Project, even if it meant facing his ghost, his love, his heart. Elias's warning, Selka's pushing hard, echoed, but Riven's blood, his sacrifice, was a light in her darkness. Why did he protect her? Why did he cage her? Her scar pulsed, Willow's voice, he loves you, a call she couldn't ignore. She'd awaken her kind, break the clan's chains, even if it meant tearing through Riven's lies, his love, his life. Her tears fell, her resolve hardening, a silver crest burning bright, a love she hated, a fate she couldn't escape. Chapter 10, The Rift of Fate. The Ironfang forest was a labyrinth of shadow and frost, its pines clawing at the blood-red moon. Solene ran, her silver crest wolf form a radiant blur, her scar throbbing with every bound. She was Subject 003, a beacon for the Moonburned, free from the Moon Guard's cage but hunted. Her claws still carried Riven's blood, his whisper, Solene, a wound in her soul. Her silver crest power pulsed, a silver light rippling through the trees, stirring the air. Shadows moved, moonburned, their eyes glowing silver, drawn to her call. A small group formed, rebels awakened by her power, their claws bared, ready to fight. Her heart was a storm, Riven's blood a weight she couldn't shake. She'd wounded him, maybe killed him, the man who'd caged her, loved her, betrayed her. Her wolf howled, her power a fire to lead her kind, but his face, his pain, his sacrifice, tore her apart. She rallied the rebels, her voice steady, "We fight for freedom." They nodded, their silver eyes mirroring hers, a pact forged in defiance. But her scar pulsed, his heartbeat a faint echo, a love she couldn't bury. She'd lead, fight, save her kind, but Riven's ghost was a chain she couldn't break. Solene crouched in a clearing, her rebel pack circling, their breaths misting in the cold. Her silver crest glowed, a beacon binding them, their claws a promise of resistance. The moon guard's drones hummed in the distance, their red eyes scanning, Selka's purge, the Moonburst Project, a death sentence for her kind. She was their leader, her parents' legacy a fire in her veins, but Riven's blood haunted her, his whisper a blade in her heart. Why had he spared her? Why had he caged her? Her scar throbbed, Willow's voice, "He loves you," a truth she couldn't escape, a love she couldn't claim. A rustle broke her thoughts. A lone figure emerged, Riven, his armor scarred, his silver eyes burning with pain and purpose. He'd healed, his wounds bandaged, but his scar, her bite's twin, pulsed under his sleeve. "I'm here to end you," he said, voice cold, but his hand gripped their shared mark, a silent vow. She snarled, her silver crest flaring, her rebels tensing. "Then try," she growled, claws baring, her heart fracturing. He defied Selka, hunted her alone, but his eyes, pain, not duty, betrayed him. She wanted to claw him, kiss him, save him, but her love was a fire, her hate a chain, a fate she couldn't outrun. Riven stood in the clearing, Solene's radiance a blade in his soul. He defied Selka's orders, her demand for Solene's death, execute her, a noose he'd slipped. He'd claimed to hunt her, to eliminate her, but it was a lie to buy time, to find her alone. Her silver crest was a storm, awakening others, a power the clan feared, the Moonburst Project aimed to weaponize. His scar throbbed, her heartbeat a vow in his chest, her claws marks a truth he deserved. He'd drugged her, caged her, to save her 3 years ago, but now she was a leader, her rebels a threat he couldn't contain. Her words, "Then try," cut deeper than her claws. He wanted to confess, to beg her to run, but Selka's jade eyes loomed, the council's wrath a blade at his throat. He'd tracked her, alone, to protect her, to warn her, but her hate was a fire he couldn't quench. His hand gripped their shared scar, a bond he couldn't break. He'd defy the clan, bleed for her, even if it meant his ruin. His blood had spilled for her before, and it would again, a silent oath to a love he couldn't claim, a fate he couldn't escape. Solene slept fitfully in the forest, her rebels guarding, her silver crest dimmed but alive. A dream seized her, cold and sharp, Selka, her jade eyes gleaming, her voice a venomous purr. "He'll always choose duty over you," she mocked, her wolf factor twisting Solene's mind, her scar burning. Images flashed, Riven's cold rejection, his orders, his cage. "You're nothing to him," Selka sneered, her claws grazing Solene's dream self. Solene woke, gasping, her scar blazing, tears streaming. Selka's words were a lie, but they stung, a truth she feared. Riven's love was a chain, his duty a wall, and she'd break them both. She clutched the data chip from Lyra, the Moonburst Project's evidence a spark in her darkness. She was Subject 003, a silver crest, a leader to stop Selka's purge. Her rebels looked to her, their silver eyes trusting, but Riven's whisper, "Solene," was a wound she couldn't close. She stood, her voice steady, "We end the Moonburst Project." Her wolf roared, her power surging, a fire to save her kind. She'd sever her bond with Riven, tear through his love, his lies, even if it broke her heart, a fate she couldn't outrun. Riven tracked Solene through the forest, his scar pulsing, her heartbeat a call he couldn't ignore. Her silver crest was a beacon, awakening rebels, a threat to the clan's order, the Moonburst Project's aim. He defied Selka, lied to the council, to protect her, but her hate, "Then try," was a blade he deserved. 3 years ago, he'd held her, her love fierce, her claws gentle. Then her silver crest woke, a power the clan feared, and he'd caged her to save her. Now, she was a storm, her rebels a fire he couldn't control, her love a wound he couldn't heal. Selka's suspicions grew, her jade eyes sharp, her claws ready. She'd sensed his defiance, his lies, and he knew she'd twist Solene's mind, her dreams, to break her. He'd bleed for Solene, defy the clan, even if it meant his death. His scar throbbed, her heartbeat a vow he'd die for. He'd find her, warn her, protect her, even if she clawed him again, even if her hate was all he'd ever have. His blood would spill, a silent oath to a love he couldn't claim, a fate he couldn't escape. Solene led her rebels through the forest, her silver crest glowing, her scar throbbing with purpose and pain. The Moonburst Project's evidence was a weapon, her power a fire to save her kind. But Riven's blood, his whisper, his sacrifice, haunted her. She'd wounded him, defied him, but his love was a chain she couldn't break. Lyra's words, "You're their hope," were a spark, but Selka's dream, "He'll always choose duty," was a shadow. Her wolf roared, her resolve hardening. She'd stop Selka, save the moon burned, even if it meant severing Riven's bond, his love, his heart. Elias joined her, his gray eyes urgent. "Selka's hunting you, Solene. And Riven, he's not with her." Her scar flared, hope and pain colliding. "Why does he follow me?" she asked, voice breaking. Elias shook his head. "He's risking everything." Her wolf growled, her silver crest a fire she'd wield. She'd lead her rebels, end the purge, even if it meant facing Riven, the man who'd caged her, loved her, betrayed her. Her tears fell, her resolve burning, a silver crest ready to fight, a love she hated, a fate she couldn't escape.